one of the things that the ego is equipped with is judgment. Because if you don't have judgment, how will you know what anything is? So when you're born here, the first thing that your ego is doing is trying to figure out, where are we? What are the rules here? What are we supposed to be doing? What do we need to do? So it has to judge. Oh, that thing over there is safe. Oh, that thing may not be. This may be a threat over here. Watch out for that thing over there. It's constantly judging and constantly saying to you, oh, okay, we've experienced this before. That thing is okay, but not this. So I don't know about that yet. It's constantly judging. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? What are the good things? What are the bad things? What are the safe things? What are the dangerous things? That's its job. That's your ego's, part of your ego's job. Then if we stay just in ego and we don't come out of ego, which is survival, it's physical survival. Ego is physical survival, period. That's it. Use it for that. Just that. Period. That's it, you know? But when we stay in the ego, we identify with only the ego, we forget. We don't feed our soul. We don't feed our spirit. We neglect who we really are and attach to the identity of, we must be this thing over here because it seems to be doing, most of the talking. And it does. It's supposed to be. Then we can even get all caught up in the judgment thing and start to judge everything and everybody. So when you're using it for your survival, that's great. And wild animals coming at me, my judgment is that a bad thing or a good thing? When you use your judgment for survival, that's great. When you use your judgment and you don't need to be judging things and you allow that to get too big, then again, you're in trouble. You're going way to the other end of the extreme of it. So people judge. They don't know when to turn it off. They don't know when to say, I don't need to judge everything and everybody. I'm not being threatened. They don't know how to say to their ego, even if those people over there are different than me, they're not a threat to me. I'm not in danger because of them. So I don't have to lump them into the bad category, Or if these people over here seem like they have not been a threat to me, or they seem like they agree with me, I don't have to judge them as being good. Because then when they do something I don't like, that's going to turn me upside down if I've judged and labeled them as good. Mm-hmm. So judgment is great. If you know what it's for and you know how to use it, if you let it rule you and you don't know what it's for and you're judging everything and everybody and you've got good piles and bad piles, then you end up with you end up doing a lot of harm to other people, but mostly you do a lot of harm to yourself.
What kind of harm can you do to yourself?
Well, if you're living in survival mode and you're identified with your ego, then you're going to be living just like a wild animal that's backed against a wall. They're scared of everything. So even good things that come to them, they reject because they're so scared. So you will reject out of your fear. You'll reject all of the good things coming to you. You won't see them and you'll push them away and turn your back to them. And you'll harm other people because you're lashing out at them, because you think that they're a threat to you, because you're in survival mode. You don't have to be in survival mode. It's not necessary. In our society, by the time you're grown, you pretty much don't really need to be in survival mode anymore.
So how do you get to the point where you're out of survival mode?
If you could recognize your spirit or your soul as being important and more important than your ego, then you would never get stuck there. But if, because of your conditioning, you do get stuck in survival mode and one day recognize it and want to get out of it, the only way to do it is to decide to do it and do it. I mean, this is an internal thing. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can even hold your hand through it, really. It's a personal decision that you make, and you start to ask yourself questions like, how can I see this differently? Is this really a threat to me? Is it necessary for me to be upset with, suspending judgment? And there are whole books about that.
All right, I have a question then. If someone doesn't necessarily, I guess, resonate with you, or like if you get that kind of like that kind of feeling, like if you've met somebody, is that a judgment? Or is that a...
There's a big difference between preferences and judgment.
Okay.
Judgment is deciding what something is and then deciding if it's good or bad. That's judgment. Preference is just that. I prefer this over that. I like this more than I like that thing over there. That thing feels better to me than this thing over here. That's not judgment. That's just preferences. Turtles prefer to be with turtles, and birds prefer to be with birds. They're not judging. The birds are not judging the turtles and saying, I hate you because you're different than me. You should be like me. They're just saying, I don't prefer to hang out with him because, I don't have as much in common with him. He can't go where I can go. He can't do what I can do. And the turtle feels the same way. If we look in nature, we see preferences, not judgment.